Let's talk about the 8 causes of cancer that may surprise some of you. Now realize that these 8 items have to be more chronic to actually cause cancer, which means they have to be there for a long period of time. All right, number 1, MSG, monosodium glutamate. Glutamate can convert to glutamine, and cancer loves glutamine after it eats up the sugar. So this is one amino acid that the cancer cells just really go after. In fact, there are certain cancer genes, one being called the MYC, that increases the appetite of a cancer cell for glutamine. So MSG is a flavor enhancer, and it's in a lot of foods. All right, number 2, chronic stress. Why? Because a lot of cortisol over time is going to create cortisol resistance. Now, it's very similar to insulin resistance. When you have insulin resistance or cortisol resistance, you have a situation in the body where you have a lot of cortisol being pumped out or insulin being pumped out, yet it's not really working. It's not being effective. And this is why people that have chronic adrenal problems have a lot of inflammation, in spite cortisol being a major anti-inflammatory compound. Like prednisone, for example, is a synthetic version of cortisol that gets rid of inflammation. So we have all this massive cortisol being pumped out, yet it's not working. So we have a lot of inflammation, which triggers cancer. And with inflammation comes insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, and the whole thing kind of feeds itself. Also, when you have cortisol resistance, a lot of cortisol, it suppresses the white blood cell. So you're basically pushing down the immune system. You're not allowing the immune system to work. So the natural killer cells that normally kill cancer can no longer do their job. This is why when you have a hyperimmune system, whether it's an allergy or a cytokine storm with tons of inflammation in your lungs, they use prednisone, okay? That's cortisol. All right, number 3, diabetes. There's a study review done in 2018 involving 47 studies and 20 million people, okay? Type 1 and type 2 diabetes. They found this, that if you compare women who had diabetes to women who didn't have diabetes, their risk of getting cancer increased by 27%, and men had an increased risk of 19%. Now this makes sense because we know cancer loves sugar, and you're having this chronic elevation of sugar floating through the body, which is creating a lot of oxidative damage, which is creating a lot of mitochondrial damage. That's really behind cancer. So that would be like long-standing diabetes. All right, number 4, zinc oxide from sunscreens. Interesting. Apparently zinc oxide creates a lot of free radical damage, and I will put all the links down below to validate this information I'm talking about. All right, number 5, working night shifts. I did a separate video on this. In 2007, it was classified as a probable carcinogen, okay, working night shifts. Incredible. So this would be the chronic deprivation of sleep or the chronic altering of your sleep cycles. All right, number 6, grilled meat and fish. When you have the fat coming off the meat or the fish and it goes into the coals and the flames are coming up, it does create some carcinogenic compounds. But realize there are things that you can do to mitigate this. You can actually use different herbs and spices on your meats, like rosemary, thyme, garlic, onions, things like that. And also, if you're doing this occasionally, I really don't think it's a big issue. All right, number 7, breast implants. So you have silicone and other chemicals that are leaching out, probably plastics that get into the lymphatic system and increase your risk for getting cancer. Number 8, secondhand smoking. So here you are, you don't smoke, but it's a secondhand smoke that can actually cause you to have cancer. In fact, 40,000 people die a year of secondhand smoke. But again, this has to be a chronic situation. All right, thanks for watching. Before you go real quick, I have a course entitled How to Bulletproof Your Immune System. It's a free course. I want you to take it, and here's why. Here's you. Here is your environment. Everyone is focused on this over here, avoiding your environment. But what about here? What about strengthening your immune system? That's what's missing. This course will show you how to bulletproof yourself, and so you can tolerate and resist your environment much better by strengthening your own immune system. I put a link down in the description right down below. Check it out and get signed up today.